Hi everyone, it's Rachel, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple rainbow swirl cat cupcake charm using polymer clay. So let's get started. First off, I collected my cupcake base mold, which is from Miniature Sweet, but if you don't have a mold, I do have a tutorial on how you can make a cupcake base without a mold, so I'll leave that linked down below. For my cupcake base, I'm going to be using a light pink polymer clay, but you can choose whatever colored clay you would like. Roll this clay into a ball and then press it into the mold if you are using one. And if you have any leftover clay, you can just cut off the excess with a blade. For the colour of the cake part, I'm going to be using Vanilla by Fimo. I started off with some of this clay rolled into a ball, and then here I'm just pressing it onto the cupcake base, which is still in the mould, and I'm shaping it into a dome. Next, we want to add some texture to the cake part. So to do this, I'm using a toothbrush and I'm just gently patting the bristles onto the clay to add the texture. Next, I'm going to be creating the cat's ears. So to do this, I took a small ball of my vanilla colored clay and I'm shaping it into a diamond. So to do this, I flatten the ball down between my fingers and then I just pinch at both ends to create the diamond shape. Once I did that, I then took a ball tool and I created an indent right in the center, and then here I'm just using my blade to fix up the shape a little bit. When you cut the clay in half, you should end up with two even-sized triangles, and then you can position the ears onto the cupcake. To make sure they're nice and secure, you can then also blend down the edges of the clay using one of your tools, and I'm just using my needle tool to do this. I then took my ball tool again and I'm just reapplying or re-indenting the clay for the center of the ears, and then I'm also using my toothbrush again and I'm adding some of that same texture to the ears. To give the cupcake some more colour, I'm then going to shade it with my mixture of chalk pastels and a fluffy paintbrush, and I'm just dusting this lightly over the clay so the cupcake looks like it has been baked. I'm now moving on to creating the face. So I firstly created two indents where I wanted the eyes to go, and then I added in two balls of brown clay, but you can use whatever colour you would like for the face. For the mouth, I created two small U shapes of clay using the same colour brown, and I'm placing them side by side in the centre of the face, and then I'm also adding a small piece of clay for the nose and two little coils on either side for the cat's whiskers. Now it's time to create the icing. Because I'm doing rainbow icing, I have prepared some balls of rainbow colored clay, and this is actually pearly clay, so it's a little bit shimmery in the right light. To create my swirl of icing, I'm going to be using a star piping tip, which is a Wilton number 16, but if you don't have a piping tip for clay, I do have a video showing you 12 different ways you can make polymer clay icing, so I'll leave that linked down below as well. To prepare my clay for the piping tip, I rolled each colour into a teardrop shape, which you can see I'm doing here just on my work surface. I then bunched each colour of clay together and I made sure to place them in a rainbow order, and then I kind of rolled them around so that they were the shape of a cone and that they would fit nicely inside my piping tip. Before I placed the clay into the piping tip, I've taken some corn flour or some cornstarch and I'm just rubbing this over the clay so that it doesn't stick to the sides. Next, we want to push the clay through the piping tip. So to do this, I'm using my ball tool and I'm just continually pushing, and you can see that it's coming out the end, and I just kept going until I had enough. When you do a rainbow swirl pipe like this one, the colors do eventually start to blend together and they can go a little bit muddy looking. So you can't really make a super long pipe, but I did manage to get enough for what I needed. To give the icing a swirly look, here I'm just gently twisting the clay so all the colours are nice and swirly, I guess. I'm then shaping my icing so that it looks like it's being piped, as you can see here, and then I'm just trimming off all the excess when I get it to the size that I want. Once you're happy with the shape of your icing, you can then position it onto the charm between the ears on the cupcake, and you can also add an eye pin if you're wanting to make it into a charm. You then very carefully want to remove the cupcake from the mold, and if you do find this part a little bit difficult, you can firstly put your clay in the fridge or the freezer, and this hardens it a little so that it's easier to push out. You can then go ahead and bake your clay in your oven according to your package's instructions. After baking, I took my super glue and I'm using this to secure the eye pin into the clay so that it doesn't fall out. And I'm also adding some little polka dots onto the base of my cupcake just for some extra detail. And I'm using acrylic paint to do this. The final thing I did to finish off my charm was add a layer of UV resin as my glaze to make my charm nice and shiny and strong. So here's what my finished cat cupcake charm looks like. I really love the colors on this design and how it's so simple but it still looks really cute. And I think this design is perfect for people who are just starting out using clay as well, because there aren't too many elements to it. If you did enjoy this tutorial, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for lots more crafty videos. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys.